Welcome to HerWorth by Design, the podcast for girls and young women becoming rooted in work, clear in identity, and strong in purpose. I am Crazy, and I'm so glad you're here. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, it's still not enough? Like you reach one goal, and instead of feeling satisfied, your mind immediately jumps to the next thing you should fix or improve? You improve yourself, but there's still another standard. You work harder, but still feel behind. You become prettier, smarter, more disciplined, more productive, but somehow you still don't feel secure within yourself. And I think a lot of girls and young women are silently living this way, measuring themselves against an impossible version of themselves. And the scary part is when your ideal self becomes a marriage, the gap between who you are and who you think you should be starts producing self doubt, anxiety, depression, addiction, insecurity, suicidal thoughts, just to mention a few. What if the problem isn't that you're lacking something? What if the problem is the way you've been taught to measure your worth? That's what we are talking about today. Let's be honest, a lot of girls grow up believing their worth is conditional. You're praised when you perform extremely well in school, you're noticed when you have certain body features or when you have certain skin tone, you're celebrated when you achieve, you're validated when people approve of you. And slowly, you begin creating this invisible checklist in your mind. I will finally feel worthy when I lose weight, when I become successful, when I'm chosen, when I stop making mistakes, when my life looks impressive, when I become more like her. But here's the truth nobody talks about. That ideal version of yourself keeps moving. You achieve one thing and suddenly there's another expectation. And because of that, many girls are constantly at war with themselves. You criticize yourself for not being perfect. You compare yourself to people online. You overthink everything. You feel guilty for resting. You feel like one mistake ruins your identity. And honestly, social media has made this even harder because every day you're consuming curated lives, edited beauty, performances. Meanwhile, you're comparing those polished images to your real human messy life. And eventually you begin believing maybe I'm not enough. Maybe everyone else has figured life out except me. Maybe I'm behind. But most people are struggling more than they show. Some people look confident online, but secretly hate themselves. Some people look successful, but are emotionally exhausted. Some people look happy, but feel deeply insecure because external validation can never permanently fix internal insecurity. You can be admired and still feel worthless. You can be beautiful and still feel unseen. You can be successful and still feel empty. And that's why self worth matters because self worth is not about perfection, it's inner security. It's becoming emotionally safe for yourself. It's being able to fail without destroying yourself. It's being able to grow without hating who you are currently. It's becoming the kind of person who stands by herself instead of constantly attacking herself. And honestly, many girls were never taught like this. Some of us were taught that love must be earned. Some were constantly criticized. Some learned to shrink themselves for acceptance. Some learned to associate achievement with value. When they fail, they experience low self worth. But living your whole life trying to earn worth is exhausting. And eventually, you have to ask yourself, what if I stop treating myself like a project that needs constant fixing? Here is the shift that changes everything. Your worth is unconditional and inherent, not dependent on performance, validation, achievements, relationships, beauty, or perfection. Not negotiated, not earned. inherent, and unconditional, which means your worth exists because you exist and we are all unique. And I think many girls have been taught the exact opposite. We have been taught that worth must be proven. So we exhaust ourselves trying to become more lovable, more attractive, more impressive, more accomplished, more acceptable. But unconditional and inherent worth changes the entire conversation. Because if your worth is already yours, then you stop living life like you're constantly auditioning for humanity. You stop believing you have to suffer for acceptance. You stop thinking mistakes make you less valuable. You stop treating yourself like a project that only deserves kindness once it becomes perfect. And this doesn't mean you stop growing. It just means your growth no longer comes from self hatred. You grow because you care about yourself, not because you're trying to finally become worthy. That's such an important difference. Because many girls are chasing healing from a place of shame, but shame cannot build healthy self worth. Only self acceptance can do that. And self acceptance is not saying, I never need to improve. It's saying, I can improve without rejecting myself. That's inner security. It's knowing I can fail and still be worthy. I can struggle and still deserve compassion. I can grow without constantly insulting myself. And honestly, once you truly understand that your worth is unconditional and inherent, you become freer to exist authentically, freer to try, freer to rest, freer to speak, freer to stop performing all the time. You stop abandoning yourself just to be accepted. And maybe that's the kind of healing many girls actually need. Not becoming perfect, becoming secure enough to believe they were already worthy from the beginning. So, how do you actually begin building healthy self worth? Let's make this practical. Challenge the impossible standards in your mind as the first one. Ask yourself, who taught me that I had to be perfect to deserve love? Who taught me my value depends on performance? Will I expect this level of perfection from someone I care about? A lot of your standards were inherited, not chosen, and you are allowed to let unrealistic expectations go. Secondly, pay attention to your inner voice. How do you speak to yourself when things go wrong? Because many girls have become their own biggest bully. If your friend failed, you probably wouldn't say you're useless, you'll never succeed, you're embarrassing. So I say those things to yourself. Start replacing harshness with honesty and compassion, not toxic positivity, not pretending everything is okay, just treating yourself with dignity. Thirdly, stop tying your worth to productivity. You're not a machine. Rest does not make you lazy. Being human does not make you weak. Your worth does not disappear because you're struggling. And honestly, constantly overworking to prove your value is not confidence, it's fear. Fourthly, practice self acceptance. When you accept yourself, including your uniqueness, your flaws, your strengths, your mistakes, you learn to treat yourself with kindness instead of constant criticism. Over time, this builds confidence and reminds you that you are worthy of love, respect, and care simply because you are you. This will help you let go of the thoughts you have about how you think you should feel, look, and be different, basing on how we are told that we need to change our bodies, personalities, our clothes, and even our jobs. Lastly, protect your peace. Your environment affects your self-worth. Some spaces are constantly making you feel small. Some friendship drain your confidence. Some content feeds insecurity. Connect with supportive people and environments that encourage you to choose to see your worth as inherent and unconditional. Protect your peace. It's not selfish, it's necessary. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it's necessary. So before this episode ends, I want you to remember this. You do not need to become a different person to deserve love, respect, peace, rest, or belonging. Your worth is not a moving target. And maybe The bravest thing a girl can do in a world obsessed with perfection is to finally believe I am enough while I'm still becoming. If this episode spoke to you, share with another girl or young woman who needs this reminder. And I would love to hear from you in the comments. What's one unrealistic standard you're finally letting go of? Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and join me for more conversation about self-worth, identity, confidence, growth, and purpose. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You're still growing, and that growth deserves compassion too.